Things have been going wrong long enough to know everything is right. Been walking in the dark long enough to know I've finally seen the light.
When someone awakens to the true nature of the manipulated world we live in, as well as the vast resources at our immediate conscious fingertips, it takes some doing to fully realize what that information means, as well as the vast implications on your personal life. It can hit hard and may need some time to be digested. How it affects each of us individually is really a question of simply putting what we've learned into action and trusting the universe for the consequences. I don't think there's time for much else. In fact, there never has been. If you know the truth, what are you waiting for? While many are hoping for some kind of soft peddling of any kind of action call, it's not a set formula. You just find out and you react. And just that takes some doing, breaking off the rust of your true self to animate and start to call the shots that were previously hindered by lifelong programming. True responsibility.
Even the blind man can tell when he's walking in the sun. Walking in the sun.
Really neat, huh? That's Patrick Willis. How many of y'all know of Patrick? Snortle Hands, he used to be called. And he started producing some of my writings. He picked them up and sent them to me. He says, "Is this okay? I hope it's all right with you." And he's also done a few clips like the one you just watched. But the dramatic effect and putting those media together is so powerful, which so many are doing now. You might be familiar with this. The beginning is now. I changed it to here. Pretty much we're there. We're experiencing an amazing awakening. It's taking on new dimensions continually. It's going exponential. But the most profound thing about awakening, well, there's many profound things, but once you've awoken, you can't unawake. You cannot go back. And not only that, but I'm finding that one of the most amazing dynamics hitting another accelerating effect is the change, not only in our perception, but in the reality that our external, so-called external reality, they're both morphing now. So if you're feeling disoriented, there's reason for it. We're changing in perception as well as these vibrational changes, however you perceive it, are coming in to affect change for humanity and our planet in wonderful, wonderful ways. Of course, there's disturbances. We've got these dark forces trying to cause trouble. Their day's almost over. But it's going to be hitting you in new ways that is probably going to be disconcerting, even for the most conscious person. You're going to be seeing things manifest before your heart vision, your mind vision that you've never seen before, and conceiving things you never conceived before. This is part of the awakening, and I just feel really pressed to encourage people not to be afraid of it. Connection, we'll be talking about this more, but personally connect. The alternative community, people are getting into what's wrong with it and all that, but basically we need to take it to the next level. How many of y'all agree with that? We're sort of inbred. That's why it's causing silly fights and, oh, you're a shell, no, you're a shell, and all this kind of stuff. It's not as bad as it's being made out to be, but it's because we lost the vision. The vision is to increase our outreach. And it's going to take some adapting, some morphing on our part maybe change we have to modify our language in different arenas, not come across so bombastic if we're reaching a certain crowd to help them. I'm sure Ian runs into this going to local communities. He can't just come in throwing F-bombs and, jumping right into the Illuminati. He's got to bring them along in terms that they relate to. And I think that's our next horizon. So you've woken up, now what? Similar to the video, the challenge is, what do people do with the information once they've woken up? Obviously there's levels of waking up, but when you really get it, it's pretty amazing. How many have kids who have woken up? How many have kids who have woken up and other kids who haven't woken up? It's quite the spectrum. My wife and I have 8 kids and 16 grandkids between us. And varying levels. I mean, it's very challenging. You got to go real slow with certain ones. Other ones are just hungry for information, inspiration. But when people wake up, it could be 9/11, it could be the Fed, it could be a lot of people come through the alternative health vector, which is a great way to approach people if you want to get them started on thinking about things. Why is the government, controlling the health the way it is? Maybe not, some people prefer chemtrails or whatever, but any vector to somebody who's woken up will lead to eventually to all vectors of what's going on. But it's always interesting to see how people come in. We've got our children, our grandchildren. If we're not prepared to throw all in here, like I was listening today, it's, we all know it's obvious. They're waiting for our generation to die away, right? How many of y'all over 50, right? And you'll find that in the alternative world. You're chatting with somebody, and we're all really youthful. I mean, we're all, I'm 65, and I feel like I'm in my 20s. It's like, we're all chatting away, and we almost forget our age, but they're waiting for us to pass. The kids today, up to 17, 18 years old, have never seen a blue sky. They're raised with chemtrails. They've always seen a glazed sky. So all that to say, our obligation is to the next generations. And I'm not leaving this place without giving my all. There's no other option. And I don't have much tolerance for anybody who doesn't see it that way. There isn't time to compromise. This is an emergency. You all agree? Yeah. It's funny when you wake up and you really get the spiritual essence of truth, and there's that wonderful sense of everything's okay. And no matter what happens. And that's important to have that as your foundation, your conscious, aware foundation. But it's kind of a conundrum. You say, well, everything's cool no matter what happens. Everything's cool. I'm eternal consciousness. And does that mean you just sit still? Well, it's going to be okay. I'm cool. Maybe, but really what we do is default to somebody else to take care of taking out the garbage. But when you wake up, not only do you know everything's going to be okay, we're here. We're here in this dimensional reality, and now ours is to respond. And it'll be very clear to anybody who wakes up, it's going to be do this, change your job, leave your job, change your diet, all those steps. And then as you do it, you get so freaking empowered for the next step, and everything gets clearer and clearer as you go. But that conundrum holds a lot of people. It gets into the whole New Age thing where it's all, I'm just going to meditate and everything's going to be great. I don't know. The beautiful part of this is, like I was saying, this matrix is going to come down and all that. They've removed truth from schools, from the news. They've hidden archaeology. They've hidden history. They've suppressed knowledge and truth. But what happened? As soon as we got access to it via the internet, our very vacuum, our hunger for it, having been starved of it, drew it into existence. That expression, nature abhors a vacuum? Well, they created a vacuum in our souls by depriving us of the information, the love, all the things that your soul craves. And what happened is, as soon as we tapped into it, the internet, which they thought the military owned and all that, it freaking backfired. And now we're having this tremendous empowerment and inflood of truth. We've just touched the top of it. I want to say it. You're going to be going through changes, these shifts, just like we're seeing now. One of the biggest events happening to humanity is this split in those who are getting it, they're yielding, they're letting truth work through their hearts and lives, and then there's the others who are resisting it. and they're fighting it. They're becoming more and more psychotic. Agreed? I mean, really weird. You'll see it in your relatives. You'll see it in your kids. You'll see it in the streets. And we're going to see it more and more. I've warned people, watch out driving. People are going to drive wackier. They're going to be going through psychotic episodes. And it's not to freak you out, but this is how serious it is. There's very strong dynamics at work. And the awake are getting more awake and more desirous to affect changes in their lives, more willing to let go of stuff. And which is, that's probably the biggest principle of waking up is detachment. You got to let go. Your old self-image, all the bullshit in your house, your storage unit, it's weights. It's all weights. We know this here, but our biggest effect is our examples. We have the opportunity to do something amazing. And I believe we're being given like a dispensation of energetic power that is open to us like never, ever before in history. And I don't totally understand it. I just know it's there. I feel it. I see it in other people. I see it in events. And it's time for us to manifest it. And we need to work together to do that. A big part of this is this what we're talking about is, going to the next level, reaching a wider audience, being willing to make whatever changes we need to. Who knows, we may have to put out some stuff that looks pretty freaking mainstream. Well, so what? Get them thinking about it, but slip the message in. Do things that are more, a little bit, use their own medicine. But, what was I going to say? But more than that, parallel, is I think we need to expect and develop this as Samantha was saying, it's the heart knowledge, it's the heart channel, the heart communication center. We have gifts at our disposal that we know not of, and we need to manifest them. We need to have the guts to step into the role. Okay, I'm going to do it. Use me. We need to have the guts in every way. But I think getting these spiritual gifts kicked in, we're going to see it. It's just, in many cases, it's believing your thoughts, your mind, what they call the imagination, which has been minimalized. Oh, it's just your imagination. Oh, just my imagination, huh? I saw that Indian chief standing over there in my mind. I don't have to see him physically. He's standing there in my mind. How many of y'all have experiences like that? You see things happening around you, but you see them in your mind. You see them in your heart. That's your imagination kicking in. And when you start to take it seriously, then the next level kicks in. And I think that's the frontier we need to move spiritually, metaphysically, consciously. Okay, you're in the system, can't let go. Like Americans who just want to keep their toys and their Sea-Doo and all their bunkum, they're about to lose it. Welcome to the awakening. They may or may not, when they're in panic condition, it's harder to, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Y'all familiar with that? If you have your basic needs here at the bottom, food and shelter and stuff, and it comes on up, well, at the top, you're free to think about the philosophical issues, societal change, things like that. But if you don't have those, that stuff goes out the window. So that's what happens when there's a cataclysm or something. People go down to the survival mode. For them to wake up in that environment is very difficult. So I feel sorry for people who wait that long. It's like the surfer, who didn't paddle soon enough. It's going to land on top of him. Whereas if you wake up, you start paddling, you're going to do good. And it'll be fun on top of that. Radically changing social climates, we're about to see weirdness, a lot of weirdness. Like I said, strange driving habits, people acting out. I mean, you've seen the zombie meme they're trying to play out. It's not just a combination of chemicals and all that, but there's a psycho-spiritual influence. Yay, younger generation. My grandkids are in college. So beautiful. There's a psycho-spiritual thing that's going on in conjunction to all this physical stuff. They almost mirror each other. So watch your step. It's you don't know what you're around. Just be really careful. If you're on the good side and you know what you're doing and you've got a calling and you're manifesting it, watch it. Just watch your step. Don't be afraid, but be very alert. There's a lot of strange things going to be happening, And climate, what do you call it? Socially overall, but individually too. It's going to be a wild ride. Up to each of us individually. It comes down to each of us personally. It doesn't go any further than that. It's not a group thing. We got to be united because all of us are going to do this at some level. But ultimately, it's the individual activating, and each individual is eternal. If one person can wake up, that proves the whole planet can wake up. If one person can wake up, it proves that we already won, if you want to extrapolate it. If one person, once you come into conscious awareness, you know, hey, this is cool. We already won this thing. Now we're playing it out. You know, like Bill Hicks says, it's a ride. It's a ride. But it's very real responsibilities in the meantime. But we could always, we have to integrate those two things, and it's pretty cool. Very Tai Chi. Yeah, the rest will follow. Don't carry the weight. Can't change the whole world. You don't need to. You got to change yourself. When you do that, the next step comes, the next step comes. One of the big things that bugs me is the exaltation of heroes and saints and sages and all this stuff. And people think, oh, I could never be Mahatma Gandhi. Well, you don't have to be Mahatma Gandhi, or Martin Luther King, or St. Francis, or and they exalt these people to where it's like, oh, we're just little people, and we need these flares in the landscape to light up and light our way. We're all those people. All of us have that capability. It's a big frickin' lie. It's a bluff. Because it's been socially engineered that way. Not that Gandhi gave that message. He was always self-effacing, right? All these guys say, hey, I'm not the light. I'm telling you where the light is. The light's in you. What do? They build a religion, and they put the candle in a big frickin' box, and the light goes out, and people can't even find it. Well, that happens socially, too, to disempower people from taking action. So, like big leaders and personalities and this kind of bullshit, it's to disempower. And you can sense it. When something disempowers you, boom, it's like a battery. I'm not going to touch that. Or if it's sucking energy from you. And we will become more sensitive continually, guaranteed. It's all about each of us individually discovering and activating who we truly are and bringing it into this reality. That's really all that matters. And the rest will follow. I can't emphasize that.